Welcome to The Secrets of Success. By following the proven techniques of the guests who appear on this series, you'll learn that even successful people run into detours and failures, and how you can apply their success techniques to change your life.
You're now listening to the most unique show on radio, the show dedicated to making you a success. Are you a thriver or survivor? Dr. Donna Stoneham will help us find out. Dr. Donna, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much, Bill. Great to be on your show today.
Now, Dr. Donna, let's start out. How do you define thriving?
Well, I define thriving, Bill, as our capacity to unleash our power to grow and flourish and experience a sense of trust and well-being in ourselves and our work and our lives so that we can offer our best to the world.
And do you feel that most people or a majority are settling for surviving rather than thriving?
Well, there's some interesting statistics on that, Bill. Right now, Gallup tells us that about 56% of Americans believe they are thriving. So that leaves a large, about half of us that don't believe we are. And that's in the United States, and it's much worse than that around the world. It's more like a quarter of the people around the world believe they're thriving.
So here we have, certainly in the United States, almost all the power to do almost anything we want, so much freedom, and yet we're about 50-50 with those who are thriving.
Exactly.
Now, the interesting part, and that's why I love your book so much, you say there's a science to thriving. Tell us about that.
Well, I think that the science to thriving is understanding what it takes to help us thrive every day in every way. And in my book, I've created a what I call a thriver model. It's based on the acronym of thriving. And I think it takes all 7 of these qualities, or keys as I call them in my book, to help us thrive in a sustainable way.
Now, there's something in your book that you mentioned, and it almost sounds like the title for a mystery book, The Bright Shadow.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that? I just love those words. It just, I think I'm going to see an Alfred Hitchcock story on that.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? I had never heard of the bright shadow until I started doing some research for the book. And essentially, a lot of us have heard about the dark shadow, or that part of us that is highly critical of the shadow parts of ourselves. But the bright shadow is when we look at other people and we feel envy for what they are doing or bringing into the world that we're not. And it's sort of those feelings of jealousy and envy. But what the bright shadow is it's really because we know that we're as capable as others of doing the things we envy in them. But we're not either aware enough or have the tools or have established the capability yet to do those things.
So we're looking at our friend and saying, she's successful, she seems to be making a lot of money, she seems to be happily married, and we graduated with her, so we're kind of on an equal plane, yet we feel we're down the other end of things. Am I saying it correctly?
Yes, and the things that we covet or envy in another person are generally within us as well. We've just been afraid, for a number of different reasons, to explore those and break through them.
Now, I know you mentioned in your book, and I think you're very nice about this, most people want to say, you read this book and by tomorrow you take this pill or you take this liquid and you're going to be a success in 2 weeks. But you say it's a slow process and you had to live it before you could write about it and talk to others about it. Can you take us a little bit into your background, tell us what that means?
Sure. So I was a career fast tracker in my early 20s, and I was a vice president by the time I was in my late 20s. In retrospect, I probably would not have wanted to work for me now. But I'm
going to mark that down. Don't work for Dr. Donna.
Yeah, exactly. So, I had a pretty fast-track career, but I was so focused on work and so little else in my life that it ultimately eventuated in a very long, protracted chronic illness. And during that time, I was really forced to be out of the world of work for a couple of years, and I could, basically make it from the bedroom to the bathroom, and that was about it. I was pretty much bedridden. And during that time, I was really forced to look inside myself and really understand and begin to try to seek some meaning around my own life, and that it wasn't all about productivity, or what I call performativity, that it was much more about the who we are as much as it is about the what we do. And so I had to come to some real clarity about that for myself, and that illness provided that window and for me to do that.
But I guess that also was the reason that you now can look to others, write a book, and work with others, because you now know more deeply what the rest of us might be experiencing.
Absolutely. I mean, I've certainly had the corporate career experience that a lot of people have. I work in corporations every day with leaders. I've worked with hundreds of Fortune 1000 leaders throughout my career. And a lot of what I do with people, Bill, is I call it helping them recollect the parts that have fallen on their climb up the corporate ladder. And those are usually, so it's literally like remembering those pieces of our authentic self that we've lost on the climb. Because that's the place where we really have power to lead from, is the place of our deepest authenticity and truth. Not from trying to lead in reflection to others and what we think others expect of us, but what's true and real, and that, where we can really stand fully in our power.
Now, Dr. Donna, we would like to tell our audience once again, if you're just tuning in, our guest today is Dr. Donna Stoneham, spelled Stoneham. Her book is The Thriver's Edge. It's a fairly simple book in terms of size. It's about 170 pages. Easy to read, but I have my copy already all marked up, which is my way of saying a great honor. We have an expression on the show, yours is a dirty book, because it came to me clean, but I marked it all up. I have highlighting, I have markings in pencil, I have notations, and that's the sign of a book that I really enjoy. There's a lot of things that I pulled out of there and that I want to convey to our audience. And we only get about 2 or 3 dirty books a year, so Dr. Donna, you should be honored.
Thank you, Bill.
You have a lot of great items in here. But before we go further with that, let us know, where can we get the book, The Thriver's Edge?
So you can ask for it in your bookstore. If the bookstore doesn't carry it, and you can't order it through them, you can certainly get it on Amazon. So we actually made Amazon bestseller status yesterday, so that was kind of exciting. All right,
so you're already up there. It should be easy to find you. Now, also let us know, is there a website we should know about?
Yes. My new website is donnastoneham.com, and that's my author website about the book, and that also has links to my business website as well.
And Donna, just for our audience, it's DonnaStoneham, just sounding it out just the way it would be spelled, no tricks.com, correct? DonnaStoneham.com?
That's correct, yes. And one thing that that folks listening may be interested in is that on the website I have a Thriver quiz that you can download for no cost and take a look at where you fall on the continuum.
We always love that word, or those words, no cost or free. So
yeah, exactly.
I think that's an incentive for all of us to get there. And our listeners who are loyal listeners, or even if it's someone just tuning in the first time, if you want to get ahead, if you want to really take something away from Donna's message, you have to do what she's saying. And she's kind enough to say, this is a book she wants you to read slowly and digest it. She says, don't try to rush through it, because it's going to be life-changing. And I guess that's a quote from Dr. Phil. This day is going to change your life. But there's so much in it and so many good things, and you're going to see yourself in there and say, oh my gosh, that's why Mary is doing so much better than me, or Jack is now a vice president and I'm still kind of among the rank and file. Donna, you talk about in your book that, and I think this will surprise people, that fear of success is greater than fear of failure. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Abraham Maslow, who was a very famous psychiatrist in the 50s, actually was the guy who created the hierarchy of needs, which a lot of us have heard about. But he also had a theory that he called the Jonah complex. And basically he said that people are as afraid to succeed as they are to fail. And there are several reasons why, several things that drive that. One is that we're afraid if we succeed that people will reject us. So they may see us and say, oh, look at what they've done. I don't want to be her friend anymore because, she's not going to want to hang out with me, or I don't want to be with someone who has that success in their life, right? So that's rejection is one of them. Another fear that we carry is a fear of overwhelm. So we're afraid that if we're wildly successful, that we'll be so overwhelmed by it all that we won't know what to do with ourselves. That we're literally like decompensate. Another of the fears is a fear of responsibility, so that if we're wildly successful, it will mean we have far more responsibility than we do right now, which for a lot of people feels like enough already. So that's a big one.
That's understandable. Okay.
Yeah, and then there's one, it's literally like a fear of narcissism, like a fear that if we get too big, that we'll feel too grandiose, and again, others won't like us, and we won't be able to really see things clearly with a clear perspective. So there's, these are really important things to understand and see. Are those entering into our own self-sabotage and the things that we do to block ourselves from being as successful and fulfilled as we can in our work and our lives?
And Dr. Donna, I told you one of the reasons I was so fascinated with your book, that I actually know several people who fall into those categories. And if you looked at them through the eyes of the world, they're very intelligent people. They wear suits to work. They look nice. They seem to carry a prestigious title. And yet they're nowhere near what you would term thriving. And basically, they're just about surviving. But to the eyes of the world, if you see them, they have the kind of title and background that someone says, oh, you went to that school, you drive that car, you're in that group, you must be wildly successful, or at least doing very, very well. And in the meantime, these people are really just getting by, and it's just for the reasons you said. So when we get to look behind the curtain a little bit, we see a little more than might present itself initially.
Yes, I think that's very true. And I also think that a lot of people in the corporate world particularly, there's often so many trade-offs that people make. And one of them, a huge one, is the trade-off of time with family. So we may have, a giant house to live in and a Maserati to drive, but if you end up having 15 minutes a week with your family who you love and you care about, it's no quality of life. So I think that, it works on the flip side as well. I think people think of thriving often as, well, if I just have a lot of money, then I'll be thriving. Or if I call it the getting to the next island syndrome. If I just get to the next place, then I'll be thriving. And really, you can thrive where you are right now in your life if you change your perspective and really shift and see everything you have to be grateful for right now, and start to be more present and more focused on those things in our lives.
Now, do people experience one or a combination of those factors that you talked about? Is that what holds them back?
Yes, you mean in terms of Maslow's work?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's different for different people. I think for me personally, one of the big things, this is my third book I've written. It's the first one I've ever published. And I didn't publish the other books because I feared rejection. I feared they wouldn't be good enough, or, so we all have, I think, a particular driver, something that really drives us. And it's learning how to break through that and break free of whatever that is for each person. Some more predominant than the other.
And that's a great example. So you actually wrote the entire book, did all the work, etc., and you didn't put it to the publisher because there was that little fear there.
Not this book.
Not this one, no.
but the other two books that I did, yes, I never published them. I wrote them, but I did not publish them for those reasons.
Dr. Donna, we want to find out more about how to become a thriver rather than just a survivor. But at this point in the show, we like to remind our listeners that you're listening to The Secrets of Success. My name is Bill Horan. If you'd like to receive a free digital copy of today's show, you can go to itunes.ncc.edu. The show is produced at WHPC, 90.3 FM at Nassau Community College. We'll be right back after this brief intermission.
Hi, we want to tell you about a program with real appeal. There is a high-quality, low-cost paralegal studies program right here at Nassau Community College.
It can be your major while earning your associate's degree.
Or taken as a certificate program if you already have a 2 or 4 year college degree.
It can be the start of your legal career or a great second career.
It is also a great credential in the business world.
Many of our paralegal graduates go on to 4-year colleges and even law school.
You can complete the certificate program in several months. Paralegals work in private law firms, government, and corporations on Long Island and New York City.
You can start in the summer, fall, and winter, attend full or part-time, days, nights, or weekends.
Our tuition is low, and the program is approved by the American Bar Association.
For more information, contact the Paralegal Program at 516-572-7774 or email us at paralegal@ncc.edu.
Welcome back. You're listening to The Secrets of Success. I'm your host, Bill Horan, and today we're speaking with Dr. Donna Stoneham, author of The Thriver's Edge. Dr. Stoneham, you have a great statement in the book, which I think might be the wake-up call or the kind of thing we want to write down and put on our computer. You say we must be willing to let go of the life we planned so as to accept the life that is waiting for us. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, Bill. I think a lot of time we get, I call it, we get stuck in our cultural trance. So we get stuck in the way things we think, the way we think things should be, as opposed to the way things really are. And if you get too locked down in that and you stop being able to see and have a more expansive mindset, which is one of the keys in the book, you can get locked in and miss opportunities that are standing right in front of you. And that's what I meant by that. It's like, how do you live into a more expansive mindset where you're actually more open to possibilities that are standing right in front of you that sometimes we just don't see?
Now, can a person, after they read your book, and given that they take a little time to digest it, not just give it a quick read, but can they do this for themselves, or do they need someone, either a friend or a professional with them to say, you know, look, I'm kind of looking over your shoulder or seeing the big picture, and this is what's happening to you, and this is what you have to change?
So there's a couple of answers to that. One, I think that this book was designed for people to use on their own as a primer, and I call it a primer because, as you said, it's not a quick read. At the end of each chapter, there are practices and reflection questions that you can really dig into and live with, and that's my suggestion. I mean, I'm an executive coach, and I give these kinds of things to my clients all the time. So it's like, live with this, work with it for a month, and that will help. So I think people who are really committed can do this. I do think, though, that it's always helpful. We don't learn in a vacuum, so it's always helpful to have a community. And one of the things that I'm doing starting in the summer is I'm actually going to be doing monthly webinars and creating a Thriver Circle for people that want to actually work with this in the context of a group and be able to have real conversations, and then also have a support network of other people trying to do the same work to help them. And we also have coaching available and some other things that people may want, depending on how deep they want to go with the material.
I think that's a great idea, because if we do it on a regular basis, it's very interesting the first time you read it. And when you say your book isn't easy to read, it's simple and clear. It's easy as a book to read, but just, I guess, to digest and put that into practice, it's going to take a little time.
Yeah, it's more about we develop. I had a teacher one time who used to say we develop in biological time. So this book is really meant for biological time. It's like you're changing and you're transforming and you're growing, and it takes time to do that. And so really living with and working with the questions and the practices and really exploring deeply. I mean, trust is a huge subject. That's the first key, right? And so I think it's challenging for people to figure out what does that mean to them in 5 minutes, you know? So it really is something you have to, or design the book to be a book that you could really live into.
Now, you give us all a great little tip there, and you say, do one thing each day to walk through our fears. Mm-hmm. And I think if we start doing that, one, it keeps it in mind that we do have something to overcome. But if we just make that one phone call or that one sales call or whatever it is that we're fearful of, talking to others, getting out, or maybe taking a course at the local college or graduate school. I think if everybody followed that advice, just doing that one thing to kind of break the ice and realize that, it's like the person who pets a dog for the first time. The dog didn't bite you. It's a nice dog. In most cases, it won't. But if you're afraid of dogs, it's understandable you're not going to want to pet it. Dr. Donna, once again, we want to mention to our audience that the book is called The Thriver's Edge. And if you're dissatisfied with life right now, if you think you could be getting a little more out of it, why wait and put it off? Dr. Donna and myself were talking before the show. We all know people who are doing this. And that's 2, 3, 4, 10, maybe 20 years out of your life that's wasted, and it's in your control. And if you read the book and see that, wait, that's me. I'm just doing things for others, or I'm afraid of that responsibility, maybe you can give yourself that kick in the pants, follow Dr. Donna's advice, be part of her webinar, be part of her coaching group, and get yourself on that success track. That's why you're listening to this show. It's called The Secrets of Success. But the book is The Thriver's Edge. It's by our guest, Dr. Donna Stoneham. And Dr. Donna, where we can get the book and the website once again.
So the website is donnastoneham.com, and you can get the book on Amazon, and also the Kindle version if you prefer that. And also it's available in bookstores. So you'll just need to ask your bookstore to order it, and they can order it if it's not in the store. Now,
I read in your book that we don't hear the call to success for basically 2 key factors: external chatter and negative internal chatter. Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. So in my book, I call the negative naysayers out in the world doubt planners. Now, we've all known those people in our lives. Those are the people who will criticize us or make us feel like we're not enough. And there are a lot of them out there. But there are also a lot of people that I call in my book soul tenders. So those are the ones who really see our best and really want us to be successful. They care about us. They have our back. And similarly, so that's what's going on outside. So it's really important to look at who are you hanging out with? Who are you spending time with? Are you spending time with people who build you up, or are you spending time with people who tear you down? That's one of the really important things externally. The other thing that I think is really important is what's the internal chatter that's going on in your head. We all have an inner critic. Some are more active than others. And we all have what I call an inner champion or an inner cheerleader who sees our best. And so it's learning how to really calibrate that and turn down the noise of the inner critic and turn up the encouragement of the inner champion.
Dr. Donna, we've had many guests on the show who talk about, and just as you had mentioned, taking a look at the people we hang around with. And one of them gave us an expression, we're the average of our 5 closest friends. And if you take that, I guess, qualities, if you're a person who fishes or plays golf or tennis, probably 3 or 4 of your friends are going to be golfers or tennis players or fishermen or fisherwomen. If you're making $500,000 a year, chances are you're not hanging around with people making $10,000 or $20,000. The people you're closest with are probably making that kind of money, and you're taking trips with them and going on boat rides and whatever. I think that's a great idea for people to take a look. Who's in your circle of friends, and are they planting the seeds of greatness? Are they helping you, or are they the doubt planters and more or less bringing you down and holding you back?
Absolutely.
You also mentioned that we become what we practice. What is it that we can practice just till we really get a chance to get your book, The Thriver's Edge? What are some of the things we can practice that would start us moving in the right direction?
So one of the things in my coaching practice that I see a lot is that gets sacrificed is what I call self-care. So, like when you ride on an airplane and they always give the instructions that that if you're the mom or the dad that you need to put your mask on first before you put it on your kid. Well, if your well is dry, if you're so depleted, you have very little to give to other people. So taking care of ourselves so that we can thrive and be our best is really important. And that's making sure we get enough sleep, we get the right kind of nutrition, we get enough exercise. So it's just basic building blocks of taking care of ourselves is a huge one. I also think, as you mentioned earlier, looking at who are we surrounding ourselves with, and what messages are we listening to, and not just from people, but like what are we reading? What kind of television are we listening to? Are we, held captive by cable TV news that's not necessarily enlivening? So it's like, what are you taking in? What are you taking in your body? And then a third thing I would say that's really, really important is paying it forward and giving back. Because I've never known anybody who was a true thriver that wasn't a high value for them. So it's like as we learn to thrive, how can we help others do the same? There's no better feeling in the world than giving back.
And Dr. Donna, what should we do next to get on your plan to be a thriver rather than just a survivor? Give us one tip we do tomorrow morning.
So order my book.
I think that's great. That's a lead into what I wanted to say because
okay.
And
yeah. So I would say first thing in the morning when you get up, one of the best things you can do before you put your feet on the ground is think about all the things you're grateful for that are in your life right now, exactly as it is. And set an intention for one thing that you're committed to accomplishing or delivering or being during the next day.
And Dr. Donna, real quick, because we're at the end of the show, the book is called The Thriver's Edge. It's by our guest, Donna Stoneham, spelled Stoneham. The website, Dr. Donna?
DonnaStoneham.com.
Easy enough to remember. And again, the book is called The Thriver's Edge. If you want to be a thriver instead of a survivor, Dr. Donna told you, just go out and get this book, start reading it, and make it a dirty book as we talked about it. Mm-hmm. Mark it up, put anything you need in there, but in 2 months you'll come back and tell us all what a great success you are. Dr. Donna, thanks so much for being with us today. We would like to remind our audience that if you'd like to receive a free digital copy of today's show, you can go to itunes.ncc.edu. This program is produced at the studios of WHPC 90.3 FM at Nassau Community College. We ask you to please join us again next week at the same time when we'll continue our journey to success.